Hello everybody, so I've gotten a lot of comments basically saying how I take so little damage in dungeons. So in this video, I will tell you guys exactly how. So without further ado, there's basically 3 steps. So yeah, I'll break down all 3 in this video. Make sure to subscribe and let's get started. So the most important thing to taking less damage in dungeons is the speed. So currently I'm using pretty much a full RCM setup, very basic setup here, just to demonstrate that you don't need super high kata. This account is only Catacombs 20, and as you can see by this footage, I can just run straight through a dungeon with like 60k EHP, barely taking any damage, and just solo rushing everything. And the reason is not because I have super good gear, it's because of how I'm playing. So the first thing I do is my tuning points. I have all my tuning points set to speed right now, because in dungeons, you have very low speed. So you need to get that up by using your tuning points for speed. I also have all of my gear, and I have speed 4 as you can see on 3 pieces of my equipment. And this gives me a further 60 speed. And finally, I have my accessories enriched with the speed enrichment. So these also give me an additional 18 speed. So with all of those factors combined, I have an additional 210 speed in dungeons, which is really substantial. And finally, of course, I have my rogue sword. This is a very important weapon, and I think every single player should use this. So I'm in a dungeon now, and when you get to a dungeon, I also have a few more things I use to get more speed. First, I have a dungeon 6 potion, which I use with my jellyfish pet, and then this gives me some more speed. Then I have my rogue sword. I use that, I get up to 356, and finally the AOTV gets me to 389 speed. So just like that, with no Maxor armor or anything special, I'm up to nearly 400% speed at the start of a run. Okay, so why does speed matter? Well, basically, when you're going fast enough, you can't take damage because you're essentially going too fast to get hit. And it's not like you won't take any damage, but I have confidence that you'll take less damage by going fast. There is a big skill aspect to it, of course. It's not guaranteed that you'll take less damage, but you won't be taking as much damage as you would if you were just running through all these mobs with lower speed. Okay, so that's enough for speed. Now I'll move on to the next part of this video, which is your movement. So movement matters a lot, and what I mean by movement is more specifically how you move in relation to the other mobs. So if you see, my Spirit Scepter that I've been using is a ranged weapon. It has a range, and I need to use this to my advantage, otherwise I'll be taking a lot of damage. So here I'll find a room and demonstrate this. So when I come into a room, first of all, I'm using my Spirit Scepter even before I reach a group of mobs. What this does is it lets me lower the health of the mobs before I even reach them. So the same goes for like a Juju bow or something, but you should be using that range to your advantage. If you're using a Juju bow or a Spirit Scepter like a melee weapon, then you're going to inherently have trouble with that. Alright, and finally the last thing I'm going to share with you guys is strafing. So strafing, you might just recognize it as like a PvP technique, but strafing is actually pretty important in dungeons as well. But if you notice, when I'm going into a group of mobs, I am not ever moving straight on. Instead, I'm moving in like this diagonal pattern. You should never move head on to mobs, because the way that mobs attack with projectiles is that they lock onto your position and then they fire at your position at a certain point in time. So mobs don't like adapt to where they think you're going to go. Instead, all that happens is that Hypixel chooses the one location that you're at, and then it just makes the mob fire at that location. With this in mind, if you're hitting these Skeletors, if you notice here, I can just like run in circles around these guys and they will never hit me. I can absolutely just be chilling around these guys. And yeah, no matter what I do, those deadly bones are not going to hit me because I'm strafing around. This is a really important skill, and whenever possible, you should be strafing back and forth so that any projectiles that are going to hit you will just completely miss because of how Hypixel mob mechanics work. Okay, we have 0 secrets in this room. This is perfect. If you guys are unaware somehow, my Shadow Fury out. Yeah, there's a pretty convenient cheese here. One of my favorite cheeses. It's pretty fun. Easy as that. Uh-oh, we got a mimic. Alright, there we go. Alright everyone, so that'll be the end of the video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and please let me know if any of these tips helped you in taking less damage in dungeons. Just for a quick recap, the most important thing is having good enough speed. This will make you a faster dungeon player and able to avoid all the mobs a lot easier. Then the next thing is basically using your ranged weapons effectively so that you can avoid mobs whenever possible. And finally, it is strafing at all times so that you can avoid every type of projectile shot from mobs. Okay, subscribe, bye.